Hey, what's up, everyone? This is Melvin here from the Melvin Live Show. I'm sorry, today I'm a little late today because just have a meeting with a co-founder, and we're just discussing the details of things, and so that's why I'm a little late. In any case, how's everyone doing? I hope everyone is doing fine. Today it's the 100th episode, and finally we're here at the 100th episode itself. I'm all excited. Um, there's a ton of information I want to share with you. But before we get into that, just a few words first. Number one, it's that I want to say thank you so much for supporting me all this while. Coming to the 100th episode isn't easy, um, but I see every step of the way as a progression. And so definitely for those of you who have been following me, I thank you so much for your your grace, because without you I would not be here. Now, the other thing that I want to talk about is that going forward, we're going to be doing this live show a little bit differently. And um, we're going to go into season two, and in season two itself there are a few more things that we want to bring along. So for example, we will be bringing in guests into the show, and so this is going to make it a little bit more interesting. And from that point of view, we are also able to do a lot more things. And so, those are some of the things that I just want to share with you. Of course, I think many of you know that right now the show itself is actually sponsored by Catalytic Courses. And Catalytic Courses, basically, it's a range of courses to help you start, build, and grow your digital business itself. So if you ever want to start a digital business, now is the best time to do so, because we have all this resources and information at your disposal, and you definitely want to be able to take advantage of that, right? And so if you want to check out catalyticcourses.com, and that's where you can go to get equipped with the actionable advice so that you can start building your digital business. Okay, so here's what we're going to do today. Just let me figure out some things here. As you can see, I'm still in a way, still trying to. hmm, right, I'm still trying to figure out like some of the things. All right. I'm still playing around with it. I think it's really really interesting, and so yeah. I mean, this is what we're looking at. Okay. Right. So I'm just looking for a few buttons here. So just give me 1 second. Oh well. All right. Well, there you go. All right. So what I want to do today is essentially the following. I want to be able to walk you through a few things. Number one is want to be able to walk you through this whole concept of what's going to be happening after the new norm, and that's something that I think you need to be paying attention to yourself. All right, and so let's start the thing rolling. I can't seem to figure out this today. Well, the thing is not playing nice here today for some reason, so we will just get on with it. Thank you so much for being here. So, first, I really want to talk to you about this idea of, um, you know, come, let me do this instead. Yeah, so first, what I want to do is to kind of walk you through what we're looking here at today. Um, from these COVID 19, post COVID 19 going forward, definitely we see that online learning it's a thing that is going to be the new norm, right? Now, the fact is because many of us at the point in time where we were locked down, we were not able to get out of the house, and so what happened was many of the things kind of moved online. Now, you might want to take note that when things move online, it was because of two reasons. One is that people were not able to meet physically, and so everything was being done online. So that's at level one. At level two, what I call a second order is that because of the fact that people were stuck at home and they couldn't go anywhere, some of the more ingenious entrepreneurs and business owners, they started exploring this whole idea of online. And so that has given birth to a whole new range of things that otherwise would have taken time to go online. But because of COVID 19, it has fast tracked. And so these are the two key things. Now, when it comes to the online learning, the thing that you want to pay attention to is this. Many people are still using online learning as a substitute for face to face learning. And in that respect itself, it becomes a dichotomy. It becomes either face to face or online learning. Now, at one level, of course, it's a dichotomy. Since we can't do face to face, we have to move everything online. But at a second degree level, you are also saying that while some things make sense doing it online, other things don't. And so, unless we are in that lockdown situation again, then we're left with no choice. But if we have a choice, the second level is going to kick in. We're going to start realizing that there are certain things that it's better suited online and certain things that are better suited offline. And that's a given fact, right? Now, then it comes to a third level. And the third level, it's something that we will talk about in the subsequent episodes. But today, I just want to heighten your awareness to the third level. And that third level essentially is you're going to have a new industries, new ways of doing things that is going to emerge that right now you and I are not even aware of, or we're just getting a sneak peek of what's going to happen, right? And so that is the more, I would say, uh, looking into a crystal ball kind of thing, not so much of an affirmative guesstimate. Now, so let's look at the first two. The first one is actually it's because it's a dichotomy. It's either you do this or you do that, right? And then the second degree is where you some things you can do it online, some things it's better if you do it offline. And then what you want to be able to ask yourself is, where is online learning, where does it falls into? So I think many of us have experienced that because of the lockdown, everything has been converted into an online learning. But moving forward, because we're going to see easing, we're going to see lesser infections, so we may be opening up. And when we open up, then it gives us that opportunity to decide whether are we going to go with the offline only or the online only, or we're going to give a hybrid of two. And this is where I want you to take notice, because this is where online learning is going to evolve. Now, online learning, what many people think it was, is simply this. They think that, well, I have a slide deck, and what I can do essentially is to convert this into a synchronous training. And what we mean by that is that you record a session, a video with the talking head, for example, and from there you kind of archive it. And once it's archived, you can sell it, put it behind a membership wall, and you can sell it over and over and over again. So that's the key idea. But we all also know that that is actually not the preferred way of learning. So, what exactly is the preferred way? Well, let's look at that in a bit. But right now, what we're going to be looking at is this idea of the new norm. Now, we've seen that the school closure has forced everyone to stay at home, and this has resulted in a few things. One, of course, it has resulted in us ensuring that, or fast tracking digitization, but it also alert us to a certain problem. Now, the problem is that people who are in more remote locations, or locations whereby they do not get a steady and a good internet access, these people are going to lose out. However, people who are in the city, and people who have basic needs, like they are able to have internet access, then these people would be given a far greater advantage. So if you think about in the old school, it's all about the old boys club. It's all about where you go to school, who you go to school with. I mean, that still counts as a great part of the network itself. But previously, if you never been to those school and you were never part of that community, for you to be able to penetrate into that community is going to be extremely difficult. But right now, what we're seeing is that that old school, old boys club kind of thing doesn't quite um, isn't quite as appealing as before. Yes, it can still be, but right now there are arguably more ways and opportunities for people to get into certain circles that they otherwise might not be able to. And so, with that as a context, now in today's situation itself, the difference between the have and the have not, basically, it's not so much in terms of access to information, because right now most people have access to information. We're of course taking out those people who are remote and they do not have access to the internet, or access to a stable connection of internet. Then of course they're going to lose out. But those group of people aside, we're just looking at the bulk of us who have access to information, the bulk of us who have access to internet, the bulk of us who have access to devices, right? This group of us, what's going to set this group apart, and the ability to the how we're going to set this group apart, is essentially comes down to this. It comes down to the ability to look at this information and to be able to make sense of this information, and as a result of making sense of this information, to be able to form certain hypotheses and then come up with solutions. And so if you want to be in this category, then you want to stay tuned to the show itself. So the the idea of everybody being locked down has presented a 1.2 billion number of students that are out of the classroom. What that means, of course, is that you could have that number as a reach. However, are you going to get the entire 1.2 billion? Of course, you're not going to be able to get that 1.2 billion itself. But just think of it, the potential of creating something that is digital that can be transmitted via the internet distribution wise is not going to be a problem. You are going to have a great opportunity to take part in this game itself. So what we're really looking at right now is that you are looking at a growth in terms of the online education market, and now is the time for you to get in on the action if you want a piece of the action itself. And so the thing that I really encourage you to do is to really ask yourself, how are you able to equip yourself with the mindset, skill set, and tool set to take on this market? So $350 billion, that's the market of the online education targeted by the World Economic Forum in the 2025. And so do you want a piece of this action? Well, if you do, then definitely you want to stay tuned. Now, and in fact, if you ask me, this is just the tip of the iceberg because we have not even factored in the other aspect of online learning for corporate. Now, one very important distinction that you and I have to make is that in the online education for schools and the online learning for adults, the key difference is about the way and the objective of why people learn. Now, when you're at school, you're there to, I think, at least in today's context, it's still quite the situation. You are there to actually acquire knowledge. You are there to learn certain skills. You are there to pick up, a certain set of experience so that you are able to kind of use those skills, knowledge, and the experience to be able to transform or translate that into an industry. So that it's in the online education. But for online learning for adults, it's going to be a very different ballgame because you and I, we're not just here to learn content. We're here with a primary aim. And what's the primary aim? I'll get to that in a minute. But we're here for a primary aim. And so if you are designing your online learning, but you are focusing on the wrong primary aim, then unfortunately you are going to end up with 80% of the people who have created online learning courses, right? So the key difference here is, are you able to understand this key essential factor? And if you're able to understand this key essential factor, then going forward it's going to be easy for you. Now let's take a look at what are some of the things that have been fast tracked in terms of digitization itself. You have work from home, telehealth, remote learning, and the virtual events. All this have kind of taken form and taken shape in the post COVID-19 situation. And of course, we all talked about what will change, but we also want to, in this episode itself, what I want to focus on is what remains the same, because everyone is talking about what's going to change. I want to talk about what remains the same. And the thing that remains the same essentially are the fundamentals. Fundamentals. So if you think about it, there are certain fundamentals that no matter what era or what situation is, these fundamentals remain. Now, number one is the following, right? So the first fundamental is, like I mentioned earlier on, in the adult learning space. And when you talk about adult learning, you're talking about one key idea here is that adult learners are problem centric rather than content centric. What I mean by that is that you and I, as adults, we do not learn just for the sake of learning the content for the most part. The reason why we want to learn is because we have a problem we want to solve. For example, the problem I want to solve is how do I build this 1%, 1 million old digital business? Right? How do I build it to that level that it's able to become a revenue generating machine for me? And so that becomes my problem. And so I'm learning every day in terms of how I could solve that problem. Okay, so adult learners are basically content centric rather than problem centric. Now, so that's one aspect of it. The other thing is that you also have to understand that whatever content that you're creating, at the end of the day, it has to be able to attract the attention of your audience, right? So you have to satisfy this condition, and this condition is what's in it for me, right? What's in it for me? And so once you're able to get the attention, you're able to tell them what's in it for you, and then you are able to give them the know-how to solve that problem. Then the last piece of the puzzle is you really want to look at, what is an automated system that it's able to help you generate profits and also scalable. Now, this is crucial because for most one person business, um, the common characteristic is that they typically worked by themselves. Now, working by yourself means that they kind of want to do everything themselves, and that it's a big flaw, and that it's a big concern because if you're going to do that, definitely you are going to suffer. And so, what you need here, it's a very, very clear thing. What you need here is the ability to build an automated system, not just any system, but it has to be an automated system. And this automated system, it's going to allow you to really um, generate leads for you, to be able to attract the right kind of people for you, and then to nurture them, to convert them into paying customer, right? And so with that itself, that's really something that you want to be paying attention to. So going forward in the next couple of episodes, what I'm going to do is I'm going to be sharing with you what are some of the strategies and tools that you can use to build an audience, right? The strategies and tools to help you build an audience in a smarter way. All right. And so if that's what you're interested, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you're following me on Facebook, make sure you hit the thumbs up and so that you will be informed every time I go into I go live, right? And so with that, I thank you so much for your time, and I hope this has been helpful. Let me know what are some of your questions because I'm sure you have some. Let me know what are your questions and how I can help you in a sense. Um, I will also be doing a behind the scene of how my setup is because right now the setup is ready, and I also want to give you a sense of how does it look like. All right, and with that, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Stay safe. Bye bye.